So today's guest I have on with me is from Real World Cancun and MTV's Challenge, Derek Chavez. Thank you for joining
What's
me
up,
today.
guys? Hey, thanks for having me. It's been a long time since I've been on like a podcast or interview, so it's fun to like keep up and.
Yep. So before I dive into challenge-related questions, talk to me a little bit about your season and what your casting process was like. Because obviously you going to Real World Cancun, you know, talk to me about that.
Yeah, so that was we first started doing casting process in October of 2008 because my season aired in 2009. And basically, and I don't know if it was like still this after hours, like the casting process, but before, if you went to a casting and didn't make it, you automatically got like a come back and audition again, pass plus a guest. So when we were freshmen in college in 2006, my dorm mates and stuff, they all wanted to go audition, and for that season, it was going to be Real World Hollywood, and they ended up going, and I didn't because we had a house party and I was kind of hungover, so I was like, I'm not going to go. So obviously they didn't make it, and they got those free passes to bring somebody. So I was kind of tricked into it with my roommate during my season because I was sick at the time, and she was getting her hair done, and she like set it up to where I was going to have to pick her up. So I went to go get her, and then she's like all dolled up, looking like really nice. I'm like in sweats, just came back from the doctor's office, and she's like, hey, do me a big favor. And I'm like, what's up? She's like, will you please go down with me and audition for World? She's like, I have a pass. We won't have to wait in the line. We'll just get in there. It'll be quick. Like, she's just like, please, I don't want to go alone. I'm like, okay, cool. So we went there. It was at a bar that's on Mill Avenue, which is like our busy street of bars. And we went down there, and during that time, like, so basically it's a group setting. It's like 10, 12 people, and the casting director sits in the middle of you guys, and then they start off with like, hey, let's just do introductions. So like they go clockwise, and these people are just had these like elaborate stories. Like you can tell they were just trying to like stand out and everything. And there was one guy that was like, I just got done backpacking from the tip of Alaska to South America. This other person was like, what was the other thing? I think they were like an inventor or something. It was weird. Like they were just stories that were just out there, and they had headshots and they had all this stuff. And I was like sitting there, and I'm like, I'm from a really small town in New Mexico. I was like, I was valedictorian of a class of a whole 37 people. I was like, so yeah, that's my story. And so then they just ask you based, like they just give like a very broad question, and they want to hear everybody's reaction. So the first question, and this was during the time when Obama was about to be elected, so it was very like controversial that he was even running kind of stuff. So basically the first question she asked, and it's one of those questions you don't ever bring up when you're drinking, it was like, so what do you guys think about the elections? Like, what do you Republicans and Democrats think about it? And it was like all hell broke loose, and it was just like Republican this, Democrat this, and I'm just like literally just sitting there just like, what the hell did we just get ourselves into? And my roommate's like participating in it too. And I'm like, obviously I'm trying not to be seen because I'm like, I don't feel good. And I'm sitting there, and the casting director literally just looks at me, and she's like, oh, so what do you think? And I was like, I'm gay. I'm voting for Obama. I was like, I don't know what else you want to say. So then I think that like got her attention a little bit, and I wasn't even trying. And then they were like asking questions about cheaters, and I was like, oh, it's like, I was like, my impression of it is if you're a cheater, you're always going to be a cheater.
Right.
So it was just like one of those things. And like, and then you figure this out throughout the process. There's words and phrases that they say that mean certain things than they actually do. So the first time that they used one of these phrases was like, all right, if we like you, we'll call you back in 2 weeks, which means they're not going to call you back at all. Like, that means if you hear that, you're done. So she goes around, she has everybody's application, starts putting them in a certain order. And she was like, all right, if I say your name, give me a word that describes you. And if we like you, we'll call you back in 2 weeks. So they start saying everybody's name, and all these people are saying stuff. My roommate goes, they say her name, she gets up, and she's waiting for me, and they get to me, and she held about two people's, she said somebody's name, and they said their word, and then she goes, okay. She didn't say the 2 weeks, so she held it. And then she like kept giving them like all this stuff. And then she got to me, she looked at me, and then she held it and skipped me, and then went to the next two people. And I'm like, that's weird. And so then when she's like, all right, if I didn't say your name, that means we really liked you. We want you to fill out like the paperwork. And she's like, and it's a lot of paperwork. Like it's like 2 hours worth of paperwork that you're going to fill out. So hopefully you have time to do it. And I like was sitting there, and my roommate her mouth dropped, and she's like, the fuck? And I was like, hey, I was like, can you pick me? I was like, can you wait for me? I was like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, yeah. And then casting director held my paper, and I was like, hey, I was like, by the way, you didn't let me say my word that describes me. And she was like, oh, what is it? I was like, amazing. And she's like, yeah, I like that. So then I had gone, they took us to a back room, and there was already people there filling out paperwork. And when she said it was like going to be 2 hours, it was legit 2.5 hours worth of paperwork. It was like thick packet, and they wanted you to like be very descriptive about everything. And when I got there, and I don't know if everybody's like a fan of my season or like watched it, but I made it with John A, and we both knew each other while we got on. So, and we worked together, and she had just started at the bar that I was working at, like not too long before this. And when I got into the second round of casting stuff, she was already in there filling out paperwork. And I was like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, I literally just walked in, like, this is so funny. She's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, long story short. And she knew my roommate because my roommate worked with us also. So I was like, I just came with Amber for her +1. Like, I was like, I guess I made it. I guess I said something that they liked. So we just filled it out. And then 2 hours passed by, and I was like, oh, all right, cool. That was fun. Never going to hear from these people again. Whatever, let's go on. So like it was in October, so there was haunted houses going on. So like being little, I think we were sophomores at the time. Yeah, being sophomores in college, we like had our little plastic bottles of alcohol, and we were like drinking in line, waiting to get to these haunted houses. And this is another thing that I learned throughout the process too. If you get an 818 number or a 313, the LA zip codes, 818. It was definitely the 818 one. If you got an 818 number, that's a very good sign. Like anytime you see one of those, like you're like, cool. So they called me, and I was like in line. I'd been drinking for a little bit, and they're like, hey, it's so-and-so from MTV. Like, did you think we were going to call you? I'm like, no. And they're like, well, we really liked what you wrote in your papers. Would you be down to come in for a video interview tomorrow? I'm like, sure. They're like, yeah. So like, just dress nice. You're going to be on camera. It's going to be a recorded interview, just whatever. And they're like, but don't be hungover. Please don't be hungover. As I'm like on the phone drinking, I'm like, okay. So, but yeah, it was cool. Like I ended up doing it. It was the same lady that did my first interview. She loved me. She's like, she went through the entire roll of film, and she's like, that's weird. Like she's like, we finished the entire like film. And she's like, but I love you. Come give me a hug. And then she was like, we'll be in contact with you within the next couple of days, and then we'll set up something else. No, I'll take that back. She's like, hey, will you make a video for us? That's what we need next. And this is when we still had video cameras, you know? So I had to like find somebody with a video camera. I was like, I didn't know anybody with a video camera and the tapes and shit. So I made a video. It was the lamest video ever. I had to like redo it like 3 or 4 times. It was so cheesy and corny. Like there was no editing to it. It was literally like, this is me on one day, stop. This is me on the next day, stop. Like it was so bad. And I was talking shit about John A. And this actually ended up on one of like the dailies, because back in the day we had these things called the Real World Dailies, and it was like behind the scenes stuff that they would show, which is cool. I wish they would still do that about the challenges now, because it gives you a lot, and like it tells you like different things that like happen that you guys would never know, and they're funny as hell. But that ended up on the daily. I was just talking shit about John A. I'm like, oh. I was like, if you guys, I was like, there's this girl that I know that's made it as far as I have in casting, and I'm going to work, and I was like, she's cool and all, but if you cast her over me, you guys are going to be responsible for this bitch dying. I was like, but I'm just kidding. Like just stupid shit like that. Like, it was the dumbest video. And then they ended up calling me about it, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, so this is where I was like, kind of like, they might actually be interested in me, you know? So then I got one of the dreaded, we'll call you back in 2 weeks. Conversations, and I was like, motherfucker. So they didn't call me back in 2 weeks. So my dumbass fucking calls them. I'm like, hey, sorry, my phone was out. Like, I didn't know if you guys called me or not. Like, I don't know. I know I was supposed to be waiting. They're like, you're still in the running. Don't worry about it. Like, we'll give you a call back in a couple of days. Like, we're just going over everything. So then they ended up sending up another interview, and this guy came in. This was like already, so that was October. This is already like almost close to Thanksgiving when they called us again. So they came in and gave us another interview. And then I was still talking shit. And me and John A like talk shit. So it wasn't like we hate each other to talk shit. It was just like, you know, friendly competition. But so the guy that interviewed us this time was like, hey, I just interviewed John A and I really like her. I'm like, well, do you really like herpes? And he was like, his eyes like open up. I'm like, I'm just fucking with you. Like, and I was like, don't take that serious. And I was like, and don't put that in anything because she'll kill me. But so after that, they were like, yeah, so like, just keep your phone on you because you're in the running. Like, we're still really interested. So weeks go by, and John A got her final interview call, which they fly you to LA to meet the producers and to talk to them. And it's like, I think it's double the cast. So it's like our cast is 8 people. I think they take 16 people to decide who they're going to go between, because you're always going against somebody, you know? And so she got her call, and me and her boyfriend were working, and her boyfriend was like, look, she got the call for the final interview. So I'm like, oh, that fucking bitch, she beat me. So I was like, all right, tell her good luck. And as soon as I said that, my phone rang. And they're like, hey, we really like you. We're going to fly you up for finals. And I was like, what the fuck? This is fucking awesome. So I was like, tell her I got it too. So then I ended up being the first person to go between us to go do my finals. It was the same person that interviewed me the very first time. So I'm like, fuck yeah, I got this. Hell yeah. So then still kind of, I mean, you're there, you're like, it's very surreal. You don't think it's going to be something that you get picked for still. Did our interview. They made us do a confessional, and I did my confessional about this guy back home in New Mexico when I was in high school that like wasn't out yet, but like we kind of dated, I guess. And his girlfriend at the time like was just talking all this stuff about me. So, and he wanted to, his dream was to be on Real World. So I was just like a big fuck you to you, you know, because I hated him, and he like, it was just a bad thing, but it was just so fucking awesome to like say that. And that was on one of the dailies too, which was cool. But so I met the executive producer, and I was kind of worried that they didn't know that me and John A knew each other as close as we did, because it's never been heard of that like 2 people that work with each other and know each other make it, you know? So I was just like, hey, and it was Jim Johnson. And I was like, hey, me and John A know each other. I know she's in finals too. She has her interview tomorrow. I was like, is that going to like weigh in on if you pick us? And he's like, if we like you both, we'll pick you both. If we don't, one of you will get it or you both won't get it, you know? So I'm like, okay. And then so they had me do like this one little like quick interview on video again. And this is when I kind of thought that I made it. They're like, so would you like to know where it's going to be filmed? And I was like, yeah. They're like, Cancun. And I was like, shut the fuck up. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay. They're like, all right, keep your phone on you. If we like you, we'll call you back. I'm like, okay. So she did her interview. We waited about a week, and this is already in December now. And I got my phone call first. And they were like, hey, you made it. And I was like, holy shit. And I like literally was on the phone like, and they're like, hey, are you there still? I'm like, yeah. They're like, are you excited? Like, what are you feeling? I'm like, dude, as soon as I hang this phone up, I'm going to start crying and screaming like a little girl. And they're like, well, why don't you do that now? I'm like, because I'm not going to do that on the phone. So then since I got my call, I still didn't think they were going to pick both of us. And I didn't tell John A. I was like, I'm going to wait till she doesn't get a call or she gets a call saying she didn't make it, because that's kind of rude, you know? This fucking bitch calls me. She's like, I fucking made it. Like, I made it. Like, I was like, how fucking rude. Like, I was literally going to wait for this bitch, and she called and did that. So we ended up both doing it. And then they give us like about a month to get prepared and like get all your stuff in order. So I had to like sublet my room with my roommates and like get all my everything taken care of. And I had to withdraw out of school, which was like crazy because I was already going to be, it was my junior year. It was junior year, yeah. Starting to be my junior year, and I had to withdraw. So that was crazy, but still the chance of a lifetime. And then in January 23rd, we took off and started filming.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they didn't let us know, like, they're just like, they let me, like, normally, you know, they let you walk in, they either get you two together or they have you meet somewhere and then go together, and then you like meet up with other people. We didn't know if they wanted us to like say that we knew each other. Like, they didn't like tell us anything like that. So it was like, I guess it was up to us. And we just decided, I'm like, just get it over with now, because like if people find out and we're like keeping it from them, that's already going to be something that's just stupid, unnecessary drama, you know? But it's crazy when they get you there, when they sequester you there, they put us all in different hotels. Even me and Johnny, even though like we know each other, they put us on in our separate hotels. And the clothes that you show up in from America, you had to wear those the next day to film in, because they filmed us at the airports too. And so it has to be like a continuity thing. So yeah, like I literally wore the same outfit 2 days in a row to meet up. Yeah, it's funny the way that it works, and like you have to do certain things. It's funny.
Mm-hmm. Did you have like a location preference, or?
So with at least me, because we were 20 at the time, me and Johnny. I'm glad we were there, because if I had to deal with my roommates sober in the U.S., I don't think I would have been able to as easily. So being in Mexico, that was awesome. Like we were able to like drink and go out and do things. So I think if we were in the US, it would have been a little harder. But I turned 21 on the show, so I would have had like 3 weeks of not being able to. So I don't think it would have been that bad. But I think we have one of the best destinations ever.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah. And like our house is pretty sick. It was like it was in the resort, and it was like at the very end, and they literally took out two stories of that resort to make our house. And then what you guys don't see is like where our room's in, they still had production all in the back side of that hallway too, in rooms that way too. Right. So it's cool. Right. And then being able to go back to like for the premiere and everything, and how they changed it into a resort place was awesome, because they like added TVs. They like it was. I really wish our house would have looked like that when we were there, but it was cool.
Mm-hmm. So obviously your first season of the challenge being Cutthroat, did you were you aware of the challenge before going on to it?
Yeah, so I actually watched. So me and my best friend Sonia, we actually would go to her house, get dinner, and we would watch Making the Band and the challenge. Every time that it showed, that's the shows that we would watch, and we would just like love it. And I never watched Real World. I remember being little, and my brother, who's he's 8 years older than me, he would watch it. And I don't know, I was young at the time, and I just thought sitting there listening to people to interact with each other was really boring when I was younger. So when I was going through this process, I don't remember if Brooklyn was still airing or if it just aired. I'm pretty sure it just aired. I went back and I rewatched their season just to like figure it out. And I mean, I always like caught episodes of like Real World Austin and Real World Denver. I watched Real World Denver because Davis was gay, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I kind of like I knew the people who they were, and then when I saw them on the challenge, that's what like this is like my thought process too. Once I started doing this and like getting close to being on, I'm like, I'm gonna be on the fucking challenge. Like, this is cool. So that's like I was actually really happy that I got casted for Real World to do the challenges.
Right. Yeah, honestly, like, at least from like my perspective, most of my friends, like, aren't really, challenge fans. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of challenge fans, like, it's like kind of selective, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
there's either like the fine line between like, you have your catfish fans and then like challenge, and like now like a lot of fans I've been seeing on Twitter, and I can relate to this myself, they like, aside from the live episodes, you don't really see too much, challenge on MTV.
It's fucking annoying. I hate that they play ridiculous like all day. Yeah. And what's funny is like my Sling TV, like it's like recommended for you to watch. I don't fucking watch ridiculousness, and it's like ridiculousness like constantly. I'm like, I cannot get rid of it.
It's that and catfish, man.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know what it is. Like they don't even like play like the episode before, like, usually they would do like last week's episode before, so like nothing. Yeah. No, it's weird. I don't get it. But yeah, challenge fans are a different breed of fan. There's some that are like diehard ones.
Yeah, little historians.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so my roommate never watches, but he was like interested in like hearing my story and all this other stuff. So like I've got him into watching he's not here right now, but I got him into watching some of the episodes. He's like, why would that person do that? That was the dumbest. Oh, he was real pissed off at D. He's like, why didn't she fucking go in? He's like, that's the dumbest move she could have ever made. And I was like, no, I think the world knows.
So Cutthroat started out with you guys kind of like running through like a jungle, I'd say, like towards the gulag.
No, so they had us running this like field, and then we went into like a bunker, I would call it, and they had tear gas everywhere, and it was literally just going off, and as soon as you like got near it, your eyes started watering, your nose started watering, you couldn't breathe, you couldn't see, like it was in your throat. And that challenge pissed me off too, because me and Jen, because it makes it seem like we messed up like 2 or 3 times. We had the right code, but it's one of those locks that you have to like you have to like scroll down to find the numbers, and then we were trying to pull, and I'm like, why is it not opening? You have to push up then pull, and I'm like, oh, like really? That's really what fucking stopped us from doing that? And we had it right, and it makes it seem like, well, you guys didn't have it right, and then we had to go back in 2 or 3 times. 2 times. We went in 2 times total. And I'm like, Jen, it's like, this is the code. Like, I don't know what else you want me to say. Like, this is it. But yeah, like some people died. Like Tyler died in that one. It was bad.
Dan pretty bad too.
Yeah, with snot and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was bad.
What was your thoughts on the cutthroat format? Because for me personally, it's one
That's still one of my favorites. Yeah, it's still one of my favorites. They haven't done it again. Yeah.
3-team format, everything about it. Like the Gulag was honestly my favorite. Like elimination arena, like the whole concept was so cool.
Yeah, that whole and it's not like they don't keep going back to the Czech Republic. They go back, I think, every other season.
I think this season they're in Czech.
Yeah. It's between there, Turkey, and how funny that they did Turkey and they did Bloodlines in the same fucking house.
Yeah. Oh, they did.
Yeah, the same. It's our exact same house.
I thought it looked familiar.
Yeah, it's our house. So like, I was supposed to be on that season. Me and my cousin got dropped for that one, which kind of sucks because that was like I was ready. Like we started getting ready to get into it, and like they dropped. And I think they dropped us because she's a teacher, and they're like, we really need her to like be participating and stuff. Do you think she's gonna do that? I'm like, yeah, to an extent. Like, you know, she was a teacher. I don't think she wanted to like have her students watching her do stuff, you know. So I think that's why we got dropped on that one. But I'm kind of okay. I'm like, all right, I've been to Turkey and we were at that location, so I'm fine.
Yeah, it's like Thailand, Czech, Turkey is kind of like the. I swear they've been to Thailand like 7 times. I'm like,
yeah. So then, like, I mean, I got to go there, and I got to go. Well, the ones that really like, I was really upset that I didn't get casted for was the ones that were in South America because I've never been to South America. So like. That's when I was like, God damn it. But
yeah, they kind of tried teasing us a little bit, I thought. I don't know if you were aware of it, but on the challenge social media, like the Instagram pages, they deleted all their posts like right before dropping the trailer. And they had like all these like teasers and like, you know, kind of like cryptic stuff to like promote the season. And they had one of those like from Cutthroat. It was one of those like gas.
Oh, the gas chambers, didn't they?
Yeah,
with like the siren too.
Yeah, with like the that what's that logo that they had for Cutthroat like that?
Like a biohazard.
Yeah, Yeah, they had that and it said C2 on it, and all the fans are like, oh, Cutthroat.
Cutthroat 2, yeah.
Yeah, but obviously there's like, you know, fan pages and like spoilers and whatnot, so like people are aware.
It's crazy too because like I honestly want to know who works for production or who works on their end that like gives information, you know, because like I'm pretty sure Rivals 2 was supposed to be you and your significant other. And so that one was supposed to be a thing. Not Rivals 2, sorry. I think Rivals 3. That was supposed to be that one.
Oh yeah.
Rivals 2 was supposed to be something completely different too.
Duel 3.
Yeah, and then which I would have loved that. Like I wanted to do an individual season so bad. Like it just sucks. Like I've got like Seasons was good because there wasn't anybody that was as good as our team that was able to like fuck us over. Like I have been in every other one. Like Cutthroat, when I got sent in, I get it, it's a rookie thing, but Big Easy, like I don't know how like people don't understand. Like Big Easy's on your team. You need to get rid of him. That needs to be your person that you get rid of, you know? And I wasn't like smart enough to say that out loud, and I should have, because I think if we said something like that, like, you know, the track record, you've seen him die in that final. Like that was our reasoning to like keep him there as long as we could. I mean, like when we sent him in against West, that was definitely the reason why we sent him in, because we knew he was going to win, because we were able to pick which one it was going to be. Yeah. So I'm like, take out West and then just leave him here because he's just going to be their downfall constantly, you know? So that was good. But then Rivals 3, when they switched it up, Rivals 2, they switched it up and said the girls' vote counted. Like the way they had us sat and we were doing it, like we were pissed that the girls said mine and Rob's name as much, but we're like, oh, it's going to go to the guys' side. We don't have to worry about it. And they're like, nope, girls is the only one. I'm like, every time.
So Battle of the Seasons, I'd say your team Cancun was probably the most like all around, like, you know, most team unified, because you had like, I'd say like half of like every other team like either had like disagreements or like weren't like seeing eye to eye going into that season. So I thought like you guys like obviously like were the most you know, on the best of terms, I'd say, as a whole. But what kind of swayed you guys to you know, align with San Diego and New Orleans and those teams?
So obviously you don't know who's there until you get there, right? And so then you see everybody and everybody calls each other and everybody talks about like, hey, what do you think it's going to be? And Frank had a little bit of information about like where it might be and like kind of, I mean, once we figured out who was called from each team, we're like, it's got to be seasons. There's no way that they're not doing seasons. They're just doing 4 people from each team. That makes no sense. It's going to be a seasons one. So we just had been in contact with them, and I don't know how it ended up being that we were going to just be with them regardless. But then we saw who the other teams were, and I'm like, all right, well, Jimmy and Knight, you kind of see the dynamic at the airport, and when you start talking, because what you guys don't see is it takes us forever to get to a location, and with this one, a lot of us, Nani was one of the ones that was super fucked up, but we all, like, a lot of people got super fucked up and they weren't going to let us on the airplane to Turkey. Can you imagine how much money that would have cost to have to rebook 32 people's fucking flights to Turkey and production? Like, they were so pissed off at us, but so like it takes us, we had to get there, and Jasmine missed her flight to get to LA with us. So we got to Turkey, did everything however long it took, and we had to sit at this little restaurant for like 8 hours to wait for Jasmine because she wasn't there yet, and we couldn't do the intro without her, so we waited there. So then like we got there, it was like 18 hours of traveling. Like, it's a long day and you still have to like film and stuff, but like once you get there and you start seeing like the dynamic between people. So it was going to be us in San Diego, and we wanted to team up with Sydney too. So we were in talks to do that. And then like I was friends with Jimmy. Well, not Jimmy. I think I had just met Jimmy that time. I was friends with Knight prior because Knight had come to Arizona a lot, and like we became friends through that or whatever. But it was just like a mutual friendship between that. And I wanted to be with Nani because I love Nani, but she was with Alton and Trishelle and we didn't know them. So we were just like, we don't know where it sits, but they were still with us. It wasn't like they were against us, and it's not like they were not like, they weren't part of they were not part of our alliance. They just were like not as up there with us. And especially when we started, like when we won the first one in San Diego to the second one, we're like, okay, we know where we like teamed correctly, And from that second one is where like Vegas ended up getting the shit end of it, because we all saved our team constantly, and we didn't like really look at it down to the very bottom that like, shit, when Dustin and Rob actually had to do it, that means that one of them actually has to like wrestle for it, because who's going to get it, So that's where it kind of like went sour with that one. But I don't know, you just see the dynamic before you get there, and then you have calls that you have before too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me a little bit about the hall brawl between CJ and Zach, having been there in person.
Yeah, it was amazing. So, and people like, regardless of what it is, like, so if I'm on a team with somebody like CJ or somebody that's bigger than me, I'm never going to get credit where it's due, regardless of how fucking good I did. It's like, oh, CJ carried you. Oh, CJ did this, and you're just partnered with them. I'm like, cool. So we had discussed that he was going to do endurance and strength, and I was going to do stamina, and what was the other one?
Strategy.
So CJ's pretty. CJ's pretty and strong. But so then, like when it got down to it, and we had to like that was the only one left was going to be strength. We're like, well, we know it's hall brawl. I was like, sorry, CJ, you got to go in. He's like, well, like, do you think me and Janae would do better than you and Jasmine as a 2-person team? I'm like, regardless if you could, that's not what we decided. You're fucking going in. I'm like, sorry. And I was like, if you want to like try to like have people, I was like, because the way that it worked, if you guys couldn't decide, then the winning team got to decide. I go, we can let them decide. They're going to throw you in. They're going to see you as a bigger threat. So go ahead. So, but it was obviously we knew Jasmine wasn't going to do so well against Sam. She did her best, but she's just tiny. She weighs like, I think 110 wet. So it's like, she wasn't going to do anything to Sam. But like when CJ was winning and stuff, it was annoying to hear like Sarah Rice, she was telling Johnny, like, see, if you win, because we already thought CJ won. Well, he did win the first round or whatever. He won that whole thing and they had to redo it. She's like, see, if you just went in and you went in against Sam, you guys would have been coming back as a 4-person team. And Johnny's like, I literally weigh like 20 pounds, not even 20, I weigh like 10 pounds more than Jasmine. Like, what the hell am I going to do to Sam? Sam's this big old bull. Like, what is she going to do to her? But it was sad to see it. And I wish they would have done it to like, they would have counted over, because if you think about it, CJ still won more rounds than Zach did. They should have based it off of that and not like whoever wins the next one kind of thing, you know? So I think we got kind of screwed in it. But I mean, it turned out me and John A were actually a really strong 2-person team, and we made it to the very end, which was cool, because usually when you were a 2-person team, you were gone the next round, you know?
Yeah.
We did that whole pirate ship one, and we killed it in that. We beat Vegas, and we beat fucking St. Thomas. So I was like, cool, we're good. And then like I stood my ground. I felt so bad for John A on that bumper car one where they knocked her into the water, like they all ganged up on her. I'm like, cool, now I have to like, they're gonna do the same to me, and I have to like try and not go in the water, because if I do, we're fucked, you know. But I was able to withstand it, and I got second place in it. So I was like, we're good.
So you got to the elimination before the final, and you guys played Not So Fast. And Not So Fast is kind of, you know, it's been turning into like a staple, I'd say, of like, you know, challenge eliminations. And I'm pretty sure that was the first season in which.
Yeah.
So talk to me, like, what's that? Is that elimination like as difficult as like it looks on?
Oh
TV?
yeah, that fucking rope is so heavy, and it sucks because like at least with Laurel and Camilla and Darrell and CT, when they did it, they were by themselves, you know? And that rope's heavy, but I think it would have been easier to do if I was by myself, just because, not that John A couldn't do it, but you're connected to each other. So whatever she does, you're doing too. And she'd be like, Derek, we got to climb this way. I'm like, yeah, but I'm also carrying the rope. I can't just climb that, you know, I'm climbing with you and the rope. So you tire yourself out so quick because that rope is so heavy. And it was a close game. I was so upset. Like it was like so heartbreaking, because like they're able to do the game how they want to do. And when we first got there, they told us there was going to be 4 teams in the final, and only 3 were going to win money, and the 4th place team was just going to do the final and lose. So I'm like, cool. So then when we realized we were top 4 teams, and they were like, all right, we'll see you. Like the way that TJ told us, we'll see you later or whatever, it was very suspicious. So like we were all waiting to hear that we were going to change locations, and then we did. I'm like, we made the fucking final. Like, this is awesome. So I think the combination of us being there for 6.5 weeks, traveling 2 days to Africa, like when we got there, we still had to drive like 4 hours to where we were at. Like it was just very time consuming. I didn't get to have a hot shower. I was pissed because I had a cold shower. And then we had to wake up early the next day to go to this fucking 2 hours away to go do that challenge. Like, it was just so time consuming and stuff. So I think that's another thing that wore us out. But it was so close. And we just, like you having to stop to get your breath is the reason why we didn't win. Like Johnny's like, we got to go. I'm like, Johnny, give me like 20 seconds to breathe, because like I just gonna catch my breath because I can't carry this rope. And that's when they like fell in with their stuff, and I was just like. But the cool thing though, at least they like. So when you get eliminated, you go home on the next flight home, unless you want to like make plans to do your own thing. So like if you wanted to be like, hey, I'm gonna go to Europe for whatever around this amount of time, they're just responsible for getting you home. So I was like, we were all planning, because we all thought we made the final. We were all planning together as a group. We were all going to go to Europe and like go to like Portugal and just hang out for a little bit. But then afterwards, we're just so tired. But they let us stay for the wrap party. So we were there in Africa at a hostel. Me and John A were for a couple of days, and then we met up with everybody else, and they were telling us about what went on. And then we got to go to the party, and then stayed there for a couple more days, and then all came home together. So that was at least nice. So I got to experience the entire thing. I just really, really, really wish that we could have run that final, because I think we would have done well.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
So I heard Sam's perspective the other night actually on this. Talk to me a little bit about the plant fight when you got pushed into it.
Jesus Christ. And my brother never lets me live that down. It'll pop up on his fucking memories. And he is like, remember that one time you got pushed over by a girl? I'm like, okay, so I don't remember what. So I think the whole thing stemmed from, it was me and Nani talking. We were drunk and we started arguing, and she kept calling me a bad friend. And it was because Zach had put a box of pizza in her bunk, like in her bed. And I think that's where it stemmed from, because I guess she was telling me like, you didn't defend me, or you guys didn't, like me, John A, like our team and stuff. You didn't defend me when they were doing that to me, kind of thing. You just let it happen. Right. So I was like, bad. And then Frank got into it. I'm like, what the fuck? And then Marie started getting into it because she was drunk and she was just talking shit to everybody. She started talking shit to Sam, and I'm literally in the middle, and I was kind of arguing with her, but like not even paying attention. I wasn't even paying attention. This bitch comes from the back from me and just runs, wham, slams me. I felt bad because I felt I slammed into Sam and knocked her into the plant. But when I'm like, if something happens like that, I'm very quick to react. So like, as soon as I knocked her into the plant, I was up again. Sam's feet are like upside down above her head, whatever. And then Robb started getting into it with me because I started yelling at Marie. So then they had to pull like us apart. Like it was just this big shit show. It was very unnecessary and very, very, very like long. Like you could tell like production was like, what the fuck is going on? Because it was like me and Robb over here, Nani and Frank there, Sam and Marie over here, and then it became Frank and Dustin were downstairs arguing back and forth. And I was like, this just started with me and Nani, and now it's like everybody else. And like literally you're just sitting there. And then like it was fucking insane. But I felt so bad for Sam, but it was so fucking funny. God, I wish like memes and stuff were like a big thing back then.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah,
because there was like,
agreed.
Yeah, because it was like, so like so they had dailies for this challenge too, and I think it's so fucking funny when me and Robb got into a fight. And he pushed me over the chair, and like I'm wet because we all had a food fight in the kitchen, and me and Frank were, because the downstairs house where Sam lived, they had their own shower that was just away from everything. So me and Frank went and showered down there real quick. And I was showering in my underwear, and I came up and we was arguing with Robb about something stupid. And like he got all tough, whatever, and he ripped his shirt off. And I'm like, ooh, you ripped your shirt off. Like, you're fucking cool. And that would have been a funny meme. And then he like literally just pushed me over a chair, and I flipped over and I got right back up and was in his face. And this guy's fucking huge. And this is way before he started like getting fucking Thor big, you know. He's huge now, but like he's tall. Like I'm literally like looking up to this kid. So it's funny, but yeah. Shit.
What was your dynamic with Robb heading into Rivals too?
So we, after those fights and stuff, we were kind of like not at the best of terms, not like any hate or like being malicious towards each other, just kind of ignoring each other. And then it got worse too, because Marie was getting mad at Frank and San Diego for saving me and Johnny instead of them, which at the beginning we told them like, we're going to carry you guys around with us because we know we're going to be able to win stuff. Like, are you going to be able to like help us do that or whatever, and we'll keep you safe? But it was, we'll keep you safe until we have to start throwing each other, and then you're the disposable team because you guys were the rookies. I mean, I know San Diego was too, but San Diego's team was winning, so it's like you can't really put them two in the same category. And I don't know where she didn't get that from, that she thought she was going to be safe over us, especially because we had been winning shit and helping San Diego and keeping San Diego safe. So that's where it like really was bad. And like when they got sent home, we weren't even talking, but me, Marie, and Robb, like after that, like apologized to each other and all that stuff. So we were cool. And then they used to do this thing in Vegas called Vegas Bash. There was a bunch of like reality stars that went, whatever. And me and Robb went and did that. And we stayed in the same hotel room, and we were cool. Like everything was fine. So like, and during the reunion, we were fine too. Like, you know, so going into Rivals, not knowing it was Rivals, I was like, cool. Like he's a friend. I know him. We just did Vegas Bash together. I'm going to like try to like keep an alliance with him, because he had gotten bigger at that point too. And I was like, oh, this is a fucking huge guy. And then they told us it was Rivals too. I'm like, sweet, I have him as a partner now. And like, I'm super quick and like I can get through puzzles and stuff, and he's fucking huge. So it's like we have like a good combination. But yeah, so we were, I mean, it sucks when they do like themes like Rivals, because most of the time, I'd say like 85% of the time, everybody's friends still, or has already gotten past what they were rivals for. But then there's that other like 15% that really hate each other kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously on that first episode, the girls all voted for you, but I'd say the guys like rallied, like I'd say like a respectable amount of, it seemed at least at first, that there was actually going to be like a, you know, Johnny and Frank campaign to be thrown in.
Yeah, so there was talks about that, and there was talk, but it's like, it's all talk and it's all hearsay, because like Jemmy, to my face, was like, oh, we're not going to vote you guys in, and was the first, like one of the first people like, oh, we're voting you in. No, nothing against you guys, but like, we're going to vote you in. Because we didn't, they're like, all the girls' excuse was like, we didn't really like get a connection with you guys yet. I'm like, Paula, I fucking stayed at your house in New York. What the fuck you mean I don't have a connection with you? Like, and like Anissa, I felt bad about that one because you can tell she was really upset that she said her name, but she did it because of DM. And DM was like very pushing like us. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I don't know why we're the target. And like, I hate that like from one season to the next, like being a rookie didn't matter anymore.
Right.
Marlon and Jordan were just safe because one of like, I think, I don't remember what girl liked who or whatever, but yeah, they were safe because of that. I'm like, cool. So that just, okay, cool.
Were you mad about that, twist?
Yes, because I can honestly say I don't think we would have been the team to be thrown in. I think they were trying to. I'm pretty sure they were going to either do Frank and Johnny, or they were going to do. The boys were going to vote for Marlon and Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the nerve. So like after we won our elimination, and then it was girls' elimination. Paula and Emily were trying to get us to like, hey, if you guys win this, like, can you guys like don't say our name, kind of thing. I'm like, fuck, you just let us to go. I'm like, okay. And that's, I was like, so that's when I made it like, so, and this is the thing that sucks too. So we went in again, and it was because, so we voted for Sarah and Trishelle. We're just going to say your name to get it over with and just do a burn vote if you guys help us. And they were going to be the team that saved us and not said our names the second one. And then Trishelle went home. And I was like, God damn it. So then like that was our like other vote. So that's why we went in the second time too. But that's how the game is, I guess. You pick one team so you don't have to get pissed off and piss people off, you know. I wish that, I mean, I don't mind that I lost against Preston tonight because it wasn't skill, it was luck. I lost because of luck. There was no skill on that. So if I would have lost to like them on the challenge, the elimination where you had to smash through the floors, if we would have lost to them in that, then I would have been really upset, you know. Or even like a wrestling one. If we had to wrestle, I'm pretty sure we could have taken both of them, taken them out. Like we would have been safe still. But it would have been one of those things too. If we didn't win the next challenge, the next guy's elimination, we were going to be going in every single time.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, the first elimination, I like this elimination concept a lot. It was last chance. It's basically like a hall brawl, basically, just with obviously blockers and such.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, on paper, it looked like this elimination kind of should have favored Dunbar and Tyree.
Yeah.
But what was like your strategy going in?
Just be as fast as I fucking can. Because like they're both huge compared to me. So I was like, if Rob can hold one of them down or hold Tyree down, I'm pretty sure if I'm just fast enough, I can get past him. And that first one I got through quick. And then the second one, he kind of like stopped me and held me too. But like, I don't know. I didn't want to go home first again. Like I had just come off from a really good season and made it to the very end. I'm not going home first. So, I mean, but it was nice. It was nice to be able to like do something like that. They should have demolished us. It looks like they should have demolished us, but it is what it is. I can say that I survived a hall brawl.
Right. I'm going to ask your perspective because a lot of people actually have speculated, and Marlon and Tyree have been on here, and they, were putting their sense into it too. Do you think that Dunbar potentially might have, thrown the elimination?
There was talks about him doing that, and I don't think he threw it like just didn't try and didn't, like I think it was one of those things he might have. I mean, because he even talked to me about it, which is cool. Like he's like, I don't know if I really want to be here, kind of thing. He's like, but I'm not gonna just let you guys win. Like he's like, I can't just let you guys win. So I think it and if it is, I mean, whatever. I got to stay around another week, whatever, and I like it was still on TV and I got to do it. So if he did throw it, it didn't look like it, but I think he might have not been super 100% about it. And I think he on the first one, if he held back, I think he saw how quickly I did it and how bad it was going to look if I did that again. So I think he was like, I can't let him beat us that easy if he does it, you know. So I mean, if he did throw it, like, okay, I'm not gonna. It doesn't like take away from my like at least having an elimination win, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like. I mean, a fucking win's a win.
So yeah, a lot of people, this is a question that always comes up for people we haven't seen a bit. Like they always want to know like why aren't you back, or like when were you most recently called to the season? So I'm gonna basically ask you those two questions here.
Okay, so the last season I was called for was Rivals 3.
Okay.
And that one was just like an availability call, and then I never heard from him again. But I got called for Bloodlines. I got called for X's 2, and I got called for what was the other one that was? That one was weird. Like I got one, and then I never heard from him, and then it was like again, and then I couldn't do it either. So it was weird. It was like with timing on it. The only one that I didn't get called for. So what was it? Free agents, and then X's, and then Rivals.
It was Free Agents, X's 2, Bloodlines,
Rivals. Okay. I didn't get called for Rivals 3. Yeah, that's the one I didn't get called for. So the last one I got called for was Bloodlines.
Okay.
Yeah. It's weird because like they were so quick, like that happened right after that. It's like kind of hard to keep. And then obviously I wasn't a dirty player, so I didn't get called for Dirty 30.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's just like, it sucks because since they started doing like trilogies, it like defeats anybody else getting any availability call unless you were involved in that,
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm not gonna, obviously these last 6, I had nothing to do with any of that at all. So
yeah,
I don't know.
They're like pulling from like all these shows and stuff, and not only just me, but like I'm seeing like all the fans like talking about like, can we at least get like one more season when they pull like Real World, or you know what I mean, like the not like the new Real World they just did with like the Atlanta spinoff, whatever that was.
Yeah.
But like you know what I mean, like the Real Worlders that did the challenges.
Yeah.
Like your season, back to New Orleans, back to San Diego, St. Thomas.
Yeah.
Like those kinds of seasons. I think if they did like, once, like, I don't know what the concept or like format would be, but I think it'd be really cool if we got a season of like all people that are all from the real world and have done at least like 1 or 2 shows that haven't won yet.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping that like in between everything they would do like a redemption sort of season. So like,
yeah,
like us that made it to the right before we went to the final and got kicked out, or people who got disqualified because of their partners and stuff like that. I was hoping they were going to do something like that. So, but no, I mean, I would love to go back on. I always, when I hear that calls are going out, I'm always like, fuck. Like when this was back a few seasons ago, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's get it going. Like I'm in a good spot right now where I can be able to go. Let's fucking do it. Like, and it's cool too. Like I would never go just to get an appearance check. That's a very nice incentive and it's a nice bonus, but I would never go and then get kicked off, I'm too competitive for that. I would never be able to just like bounce. But I was like, sometimes I'm like, fuck, that fucking appearance check would look really nice right now.
So obviously, I take it you've been watching this season because I watched the last couple of your tweets.
Yeah.
So now I'm basically gonna ask you like to talk about like your thoughts so far in the season, and more specifically, I'm gonna ask you what your thoughts on Nelson are.
Yeah. The season's pretty good. Like it's like the whole theme and stuff is cool. I like these themes. I mean, I would still rather have like a duel. I would rather be in like a duel where it's just you. And when they have these individual like winners, I want it to be because they actually like were the individual person who won all these stuff instead of like having teams. But I think that's a cool concept. Like then they're like, all right, this is a team of 2, and then it's very random. So that's cool too. But I would love, like, I think I read somebody's tweet the other day, or I think it was on the challenge Facebook page or something. Somebody was like, I'm kind of giving up on the challenge because they're like, I'd rather see people rub their bodies in bathing suits on ice to get a key rather than cliff diving off of a thing for the challenge. They're like, it's getting too like extreme, like too extreme, which I like the extreme stuff too, but I miss stupid stuff like wrestling in oil and fucking what else do we do? Like the height stuff that we did, like the Don't Cross Me that we won that first challenge. That was fucking awesome. That was fun. And like, I don't know. I feel like I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. It makes for great TV. except this last episode, was this last episode, the episode before, where it was like literally an hour of just drama at the house.
Yeah, it might have been the one before that when they didn't
Jesus
have
Christ. Like I want them to I want them to go back to their old format where they do they have a little bit of drama, you do the challenge, you go home, you deliberate, you send them home.
Exactly. That's what it should be. That's what most people would agree with. You know, have your daily drama and then elimination, and then.
Like, I guess it was her storyline to motivate her to go in and stuff, but like, why do we care about what's going on at Jenna's home?
He's like, not even on the season. Right?
Yeah, I'm like, Zach's gotten more airtime than some of those people on the fucking challenge.
Seriously. Yeah, now that you mention it, we've had like 3 at least like that haven't even been shown, like Maddie, Casey, like they don't get any confessionals.
So it's weird. I mean, I get it. I get where they're trying to do, and they're creating storylines like they have to, but it's just like diehard fans that like the challenge from what it was before, I mean, can appreciate what it's evolved into, but still kind of reminisce about what they kind of want it to be again, you know?
Right.
But overall, I think it's been a good season, and I really, really, really liked the concept that they are making you earn your red skull to get to the final, because I fucking hate coasters. Like, I hate it. Like, I only wish that they would have been smart enough, because this is what they do. The production has this great idea. They go with it, but they never think about like any loopholes. They never think about any consequences of what it is. They just think it's going to go. They think it's going to go the way they want it to go every single time. And there's always things you can do. Like that wrestling challenge in Battle of the Seasons, we thought about it. We're like, we don't have to wrestle each other. You literally just have to have everybody save each other, you know? And even Sarah Rice was like, she goes, it's fucking smart. You guys did the right thing. She's like, I hate that my team wasn't a part of it, but like, I respect that you guys figured it out, you know? But I wish on the Red Skulls, they would have been like, all right, if you have a Red Skull, you can't go into elimination the next one. Like, it should have given them an immunity for the next one. So that way they get new people. Because there's no, like, they sent him in 3 times. They literally defeated the fact that 2 people could have gone in, you know, like, or could have got the Red Skulls. So now they had to do a double elimination that, you know, was thought of while they were there, like, shit, we have 3 girls and 1 guy, we have to do something. So it's like, if they would have thought about it better and did something like that, I think that would have been cool. Mm-hmm. Or like when they have like individual winners too, they should have been able to get a Red Skull too. Or if you have 2 Red Skulls, like Jay had Red Skulls and he went into elimination and lost, they should have given his one of his red. So like if he would have lost against CT, they should have given CT his other Red Skull and left him with 1. And then if he got sent in again, then he loses his Red Skull and gets to go home. You know, right. I think that would have still helped people.
Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on Nelson?
And I have nothing against him. Like, people are like, well, like, you're just jealous, or, oh, you're trying to be his rival. I'm like, that would literally, like, if I had to listen to that person talk, like, I just feel like so dumb listening to him speak. But I'm not taking away the fact that he's fucking athletic. He's a fucking beast in eliminations. I've never said anything about any of that. Somebody said something about his looks the other day too. I'm like, I've never come for any of his looks. I don't think he's like, what does that have to do? He says the dumbest things, and his wording is like, he sounds so uneducated. And I'm not trying to be like all fucking like I'm smarter than you kind of person, but like literally the conversation that you would have with this person is like, what the fuck am I listening to? Like, I literally sit there and I like have to mute it every time he talks, because he's just like, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I watching? And like, I didn't realize how many people were gonna like retweet that or like that. And I keep I keep trying to like at his Nelly T, because some people are like, oh, you won't at him. I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck. I'll at him. Like, what's it? I mean, it's my opinion on what it is and whatever. Like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna meet this person. I'm not like, and anything that I say is justifiable because it's my opinion. It doesn't take anything away from him, you know?
Right.
But yeah, like I literally like, and this started like a few seasons back, and I'm like, I get the appeal because he's athletic, so he can like kick some of these people's asses and like go to elimination. But like, his anger is on another level, which is one thing that's crazy. And then just like, I'm pretty sure he missed like what am I trying to say? He like doesn't pronounce words correctly sometimes, a lot. Audacity, yeah. So I don't know. I just like, I mean, I get it. Maybe they're like doing it to make people laugh, but I don't know. I literally, there's just something about the way he speaks that like, and I don't know him. I've never talked to him. I've never met him before. Maybe if I met him in person and like talked to him in person, it would be a different thing, you know? But I think if I was on this challenge, I would have faces like Anissa constantly
Yeah.
if I had to listen to him talk. And like the way that he came for her, I'm like, I know that bitch. She's definitely not going to throw a challenge, especially. And I'm like, it's a fucking girls' day. What does it matter if you win or lose? Like you're like, I don't fucking like. It was just that whole blow up. And then like he has this like, oh, she blew it, so this is this, and like they just want to like beat Jenna, whatever. I'm like, no, like that girl doesn't want to go home. Like, yeah, she's down and stuff, but she doesn't want to go home. Like, why would she throw like his whole like his game plan about that, like why he's gonna say this person's name because they threw it or whatever. And then he just goes back and just starts yelling at Kayla. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I think he's basically guaranteed him spot for like at least the next like 3 seasons though, with all the drama, and then obviously he's backing it up in elimination. So like,
Yeah,
they have so many options with him now for X's rivals. Because
yeah,
honestly, I know like the X's rivals thing gets talked about a lot, but we kind of haven't had like a real rival or X's season in like at least like 7 like
yeah,
years. It was like
yeah. And like the whole thing. So like the rivals. I mean, if I had like, and you know, these people dig for like petty shit. Like Frank and Johnny were rivals because of a Twitter beef. So like they'll dig for something. So like I was kind of upset that I didn't make it on X's because my 2 X's would have been Frank or Marlon. So it would have been a fucking strong team anyway. And so that just like, I haven't talked to either of them to say who turned it down. I'm assuming it was, I know Frank was going to turn it down anyway because he was in school. So I'm assuming it was Marlon that turned it down. But I would love to do another season like that because, or something that I was at least involved in so that way I could be a part of it, you know? And don't get me wrong, like these guys are fucking huge. I'd have a lot cut out for me. So I'd have to like really work, but like, I'm never afraid to go into stuff like that. So I wouldn't be afraid. It would just be harder for me. But it's fun though. Like I love that shit. It's like I'm very competitive and I like doing those things. And they're like, you don't ever get to do that in your life ever, you know?
Yeah.
So it's cool to be a part of, even if I'm not a part of it anymore. It was cool to be a part of it. Like I wouldn't change any of that for the world, you know?
Right. So basically, I'm just gonna wrap it up by asking, what have you basically, in like a brief little synopsis, been up to since we last seen you?
So last saw me on Rivals 2. I've stuck with bartending throughout the like my 20s and now, just because doing that kind of show, you have to have something that has an availability. And what I should have done was go back to school right after my real world season. I didn't though. And then once I started not getting phone calls as much, I'm like, I got to really figure out something. So I've been in school for the last 2 years and I was trying to do dental hygiene, and it's a really competitive field, and I didn't get into the program, and they were going to make me wait 3 years to get into the program. I'm like, I literally just spent a year in school straight through. Cause like when I went to ASU, I was a kinesiology major and I had to do all these specialized topics. So like my English 101 wasn't or basic English. It was English for medical writing. Like it was a specialized topic. So like none of my generals went over. So I literally had to go back and do like sociology and all that stuff.
Right.
Just to get into dental hygiene school. And I didn't do it. So then I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm like, you like going to parties. Why don't you throw parties? Why don't you be an event planner? So I'm like, cool. So I'm in school at the moment doing that. I have less than a year and I can graduate. While I got off of Rivals, I ended up meeting somebody and I was with them for almost 5 years. So that's another reason why I was cool without doing it too, because I was with somebody. But now I'm single. I live with my friend Mac. We're still here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I would love to go back on a challenge if the opportunity ever came back.
Awesome. Hear that, people? Let's get them back on our show.
Please, that'd be fun. Especially now, like what they're doing and stuff. I would kill to do something like that. I think it'd be fun. And like I sit here too, and I'm like, why don't you figure this out? This is so easy to figure out, like, you know, and being there, obviously, you know, like the nerves get to you, like nerves will fuck you up, even if you know how to do things, like, especially if there's like a time limit, you're like, you have to do this, whatever, it'll fuck you up. But It's fun.
Well, it was a pleasure getting to speak with you today.
Yeah, for sure.
Had a blast.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you want me on, I'll come back on again.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
Later. You too.